Hell Motel Episode 5 explored. Welcome to the channel Movie Creepers. Today, we're diving into the major death that takes place in Episode 5 of Hell Motel. In Episode 4 of Hell Motel, Floyd secretly kills Crow, who'd already been tortured by Baphomet. With the body count rising, the guests wanted to flee, but Floyd and Shirley, planning a demonic summoning, couldn't risk that. So Floyd disguised himself as Baphomet and attacked Andy and Kawayan to scare everyone into staying. Later, suspecting Kawayan might be the third killer, Floyd and Shirley interrogated and killed him. After they left, the real third killer arrived and turned Kawayan's corpse into a grotesque art piece, leaving the motel guests horrified and more paranoid than ever.
All kinds of toxic bullshit. I didn't hear you trying to censor him, did you? I didn't fucking hear you!
Episode 5, Gender Standoff. Episode 5 of Hell Motel opens with a mysterious figure spying on the motel from the woods. The focus then shifts to Kawayan's room, where the guests are losing their minds over the grotesque scene in front of them. As usual, Paige has a meltdown over the stench coming from the corpse, while Adriana, in classic unhinged fashion, makes an off-the-wall comment about actually liking the smell. Once the initial wave of shock wears off, everyone regroups in the dining room and begins hurling accusations at each other. The chaos is cut short when Adriana notices someone watching them from the tree line. The group bolts outside and tackles the stranger, who turns out to be JP, the hearse driver who dropped them off on day one. He's visibly shaken and horrified by the carnage, and immediately tries to flee. But before he can escape, Blake grabs him and pins him down, determined to figure out whether JP is the elusive third killer. The first red flag: JP is badly injured, his face cut and embedded with shards of glass. He explains that his car skidded off the road in the rain, crashed, and he had no choice but to trek on foot to the motel. When Paige asks how he wasn't terrified of running into wild animals in the woods, JP pulls out a handgun, claiming it's strictly for self-defense. The moment he reveals the weapon, the already anxious group tenses up. After JP pockets the gun again, the women focus on treating his wounds, while the men retreat to the dining room to hash out what to do next. Tensions boil over when Paige, Adriana, and Shirley, who may just be pretending to side with the women, lash out at Andy, Blake, and Floyd for making key decisions without including them. This sparks a full-blown gender standoff, escalating quickly into shouting and finger-pointing. Adriana finally snaps, grabs JP's gun, and fires a shot into the ceiling to silence the chaos. With the dust settled, the women storm off to Floyd and Shirley's room, locking and barricading it from the inside. Meanwhile, the men stay behind in the dining room with JP, still trying to determine whether he's an unfortunate survivor or the killer hiding in plain sight. JP met his end. I'm not going to dive into the specifics of the conversations happening in the ladies' room or the debates going on in the gents' room, mainly because none of it contributes meaningfully to the plot. These scenes offer no new insights into the characters, reveal nothing we didn't already know, and aren't exactly bursting with brilliance worth analyzing. So, let's cut through the noise and get to the core of what's going on. On one side, Shirley is subtly trying to coax a confession out of either Paige or Adriana, hoping to expose one of them as the third killer. On the other, Floyd, who randomly drops a Point Break reference for no reason, seems to be working the same angle with Blake and Andy. However, he ends up distracted by a silent, tense staring contest that Andy initiates, derailing the conversation completely. Sensing vulnerability, Shirley zeroes in on Adriana, who's clearly the most anxious and emotionally unstable in the room. She pulls out a tarot deck and begins reading Adriana's fate, which sends her spiraling. Adriana becomes overwhelmed with dread, feeling like the walls are closing in and she's finally being confronted for her morbid obsession with serial killers. This triggers a flashback to a disturbing encounter she had with a murderer named Wyatt. His last name is either Harvey or Carvey, hard to tell without subtitles. In the flashback, Adriana visits Wyatt after seeing him on TV. Initially disinterested, Wyatt changes his tune once he realizes she's romantically fixated on him. He describes himself as a wolf and calls Adriana a chipmunk, making bizarre comments about consuming her. Yes, really. Adriana tries to one-up him by calling herself a man-eating polar bear, attempting to intimidate and seduce him at the same time. It's clearly meant to be edgy and provocative, but instead it comes off as painfully cringy, like a bad sad fanfic written by an emo teen during free period. Meanwhile, tensions boil over in the guy's room, where Floyd starts physically attacking Andy and Blake. During the scuffle, it's revealed that Floyd has a large knife scar on his back, apparently inflicted by Baphomet. The fight intensifies until JP makes another attempt to escape the madness. In a panic, he rushes into the women's room, unaware that things in there have also gone off the rails. Adriana, now completely unhinged, is waving JP's gun around, threatening both Shirley and Paige. When JP barges in unexpectedly, she panics and fires, accidentally killing him on the spot. This whole episode is a mess, and JP's death, while clearly meant to be shocking, lands as one of the dumbest, most pointless moments the show has delivered so far. Adriana's fate is sealed. At the end of Hell Motel Episode 5, Adriana is first locked in the bathroom and later moved by the group to a utility shed just outside the motel. She insists JP's death was a tragic accident and pleads for mercy, but no one's buying it anymore. Despite the tension, Paige shows a flicker of sympathy, giving Adriana warm clothes and a thermos of hot drink to help her survive the cold, since the shed has no heat. Then, they lock her inside and leave. Later that night, Adriana attempts to escape the shed, only to be immediately ambushed by Baphomet. She's knocked unconscious, which triggers another disturbing flashback, this time to her actual encounter with a serial killer Wyatt. Things got physical between them, but Adriana's strange fetishization of Wyatt's crimes ended up unsettling him. Yes, he felt uncomfortable. That's how twisted it got. Unable to deal with her behavior, Wyatt snapped and tried to strangle her. It's implied the authorities intervened in time and saved her. But in the present, there's no rescue. Baphomet ties her to a tree, waits until she regains consciousness, slits her throat, covers her head with a plastic bag, and hangs her from the trees so her blood collects inside the bag. It's brutal, graphic, and hard to watch. Back at the motel, Paige shows up at Andy's room, second-guessing their decision. She says they should check on Adriana, unable to shake the guilt over punishing someone who might have made a terrible mistake rather than committing murder. When they find the shed empty, they follow the mess left behind during Adriana's escape and eventual struggle through the woods, only to stumble upon her corpse. And just to be clear, Adriana is absolutely 100% dead. Here's the thing, I can't help but feel like Paige is the third killer. Her reactions to every corpse seem deliberately exaggerated. And now, she's been the first on the scene twice. That's not just bad luck, it's suspicious. Given how obsessed she is with her crumbling acting career, I wouldn't be shocked if she's using these deaths for a summoning ritual, hoping to strike a deal with the devil to regain fame. Just a theory, of course. If she ends up dying in the next 3 episodes instead of being unmasked as the killer, don't come for me. I'm just speculating. Anyway, what did you think of episode 5? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.